Welcome to EPG Padshala. I am Professor Mala Pandurang and I belong to Dr. BMN College of Home Science, which is affiliated to SNDT Women's University. Today I am going to walk you through the module on Indian languages and literatures in the diaspora. This is a very interesting module because we tend to assume that most of the literature that is produced from the Indian diaspora has been written in English. However, in this module, we will examine literatures that have been produced in 4 languages: Bengali, Gujarati, Telugu and Hindi. Before we do so, we will examine the complexity of movement from out of the Indian subcontinent to different parts of the world. We will keep in mind that we cannot heterogenize the Indian diasporic experience. We will also examine the relationship between culture and language. We will look at literatures produced in these 4 languages, and we will also examine some very important writers who have contributed in these languages. This module will stress upon the complex and heterogeneous nature of the migrant populations, particularly in terms of their regional, linguistic, caste, economic and religious backgrounds. Along with this, what emerges is an understanding of the historical context for the presence of multiplicity of languages in the Indian diaspora, including Hindi, Bhojpuri, Tamil, Malayalam, Gujarati, Punjabi, Bengali and Telugu amongst others. Cultural production in English from the Indian diaspora cannot therefore be taken as representative of the complex gamut of experiences associated with the diasporic subject. In his essay titled The Dynamics of Language in Indian Diaspora, the case of Bhojpuri Hindi in Trinidad, N. Jayaram points out that the status of the languages which the different diaspora communities carried as part of their socio-cultural baggage is highly variable. He explains how in a location like Jamaica, Indian diasporics have lost their ancestral language, while on the other hand in locations like Mauritius, Fiji, Suriname, a local dialect of Bhojpuri is used in formal spheres and standard Hindi in religious and cultural domains. Social linguists have pointed out to how language will inevitably undergo changes over time and in contact with other dialects and cultures. On the other hand, there are attempts by contemporary communities to revive the use of ancestral language by adopting innovative teaching programs via direct teaching as well as the internet. While young children are taught linguistic as well as cultural and religious heritage through classes on weekends, young adults and adults use internet resources. The global outreach of Bollywood is also an important factor to be considered for the powerful role it plays in creating familiarity with Hindi as a language. In this module, we will examine certain general aspects of reproduction of the diaspora experience in Indian language and literatures. It is crucial to keep in mind that the early migrants who went as indentured labourers were illiterate and not well versed with the use of written narratives. Their creative expressions were more within the oral tradition. More importantly, they used their mother tongue for communication and did not engage with the English language. Cultural production in terms of the literary text is therefore a relatively recent phenomena. Migrants through a generational spectrum have had to negotiate with issues of assimilation and integration, and this process of negotiation gets reflected through different modes of cultural production. Creative writing becomes a crucial source to understand the process of identity formation irrespective of the language that it is produced in. The themes found in first generation writing include narratives of displacement and survival, a longing for home and processes of cultural hybridization. Writing of the next generation takes up issues of in-betweenness and negotiating racial, cultural and ethnic divides in the host society. A recurrent concern among the diasporics is the need to retain the mother tongue, as the loss of language is associated with the loss of cultural roots. An interesting technological emergence is the availability of a range of Indian languages on the internet, which now provides an easy platform for communication among diasporics in their native languages, and also the opportunity for promulgating the use of these languages among beginners. While it is not possible here to examine the entire gamut of writing in regional languages of the Indian diaspora in totality, this module will present a brief overview of writings in 4 main languages, namely Bengali, Telugu, Gujarati and Hindi. You will be made familiar with the works of well-known writers from these languages and the themes they have written on, so that you may explore their works in detail should you wish to do so. Let us start with writing in Bengali from the diaspora. Writers from both India and Bangladesh who speak and creatively engage with Bangla Bhasha in the diaspora are growing in numbers, particularly in the United Kingdom, United States and Canada. Most of this writing circulates within the diaspora or is confined to the Bengali speaking population in India and Bangladesh. Two of the main reasons for its limited reach are the paucity of translations available from Bangla to English and other languages, and the resistance of the publishing industry to buy translation rights for the regional language writing. Fortunately, with the internet revolution, a considerable amount of writing in Bangla from the various diasporas is available today. From the early 18th century onwards, privileged Bengali men have been travelling abroad. The Bengal Renaissance prompted a lot of elite Bengalis to undertake perilous journeys across the seas. Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Dwarkanath Tagore, Michael Madhusudan Dutt, Rabindranath Tagore and many of his contemporaries were sent by their families to England to study law, medicine, or in order to prepare for and take the civil service exam. They wrote of their experiences abroad and documented their lives as Prabashi, one who lives away from home. These writings can be considered as the first diasporic accounts in Bengali language. Rabindranath Tagore's Europe, Prabashi Patra, Letters from Europe, first published in the magazine Bharati as letters and then in 1881 as a book, is a fine account of English social life in the second half of the 19th century. The first diasporic Bengali text written by a woman was a travel book first published in 1885, written by Krishna Babani Das. She had accompanied her husband Debendranath Das to England in 1882 and stayed for 8 years minutely observing Victorian society and later compiling her experiences in the volume A Bengali Lady in England, published in 1885. The migration of Bengalis from West Bengal and what is today Bangladesh has continued unabated ever since. Today the Bengali diaspora is spread across several countries and many continents. The diaspora is diverse in terms of class, caste and culture. Some of the notable contemporary diasporic writers writing in Bangla who are widely read in West Bengal and Bangladesh and are from United Kingdom and the United States of America. Prominent among them are Ghulam Murshid, Abdul Ghaffar Chowdhury from United Kingdom, Dilara Hashim, Alolika Mukhopadhyay from United States. One of the first writers from the Bengali diaspora writing in Bangla who consciously crafts a diasporic sensibility is Ketki Kushari Dyson. Dyson is a prolific bilingual poet, critic, essayist, playwright, columnist, novel and translator. Her first novel, Noton Noton Pairaguli, translated These Crested Pigeons, is based on the letters and diary entries of a Bengali woman in Britain. Her subsequent publications include the following in translation, In Search of Rabindranath and Victoria Ocampo, which is an exploration of Rabindranath Tagore's relationship with the Argentinian writer Vittorio Ocampo. In this work, she traverses the inner and creative worlds of two famous writers of the post-Tagore era, Jipananda Das and Buddhadeva Bose. Parallel to this is an exploration of British working class and middle class lives in the 20th century through the letters received by Honor Pope and the autobiography of Margaret Clark. Dyson's writings point to the fact that cultural interconnectedness and the ability to transculturate are the hallmarks of Bengali diaspora. Diasporic writing in Bangla is increasingly garnering a lot of critical attention. Apart from publications of established authors, magazines like Agrobeach, bilingual magazine Bangla Journal from Toronto, and many others in different parts of the world have also been a source of contemporary diasporic creative output. Most of the writing is representative of the middle class professional diaspora and often concerned with the negotiation of straddling two worlds and their multiple attachments with a transnational community. A lot of the writing also makes use of certain English words to convey a sense of diasporic identity and social hierarchy. Bangla writing from the diaspora thus embraces several moments of modernity: displacement from and nostalgia for a homeland, ease of transition to the hostland as transnational subjects, interminable mixing and hybridization of cultural and people, easy connectedness to homeland and deep engagement with the hostland, cultural claim of belonging and negotiating ethnic identity in a furiously shrinking yet intensely fractured world. We will now come to the section where we will look at writing in Telugu from the diaspora. Though Telugu is primarily spoken in Andhra Pradesh and the Telangana states, parts of Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Orissa and Jharkhand also have Telugu speaking people. Thus, its widespread communities within the nation as well as outside the nation assert the language. Telugu migration overseas dates back to the pre-colonial indentured labour and continues with the post-colonial professional workers, with large numbers participating in the IT diaspora. For generations, the Telugus have been migrating to different parts of the world such as Burma, Malaysia, Fiji, Mauritius, South Africa, Indonesia, England and United States. Members of the Telugu diaspora gather frequently to organize events that help them to promote their culture, language and more importantly provide a platform for the second generation to understand their roots. They have non-voluntary associations like American Telugu Association, Telugu Association of North America, New Zealand Telugu Association, etc. These associations try to provide the Telugu diaspora with support and to promote the feeling of togetherness. These organizations help them to maintain an umbilical cord with the home they have left behind and communicate their experiences living away from it. The first generation immigrants were not conscious of what it is to be a diaspora and therefore faced the dilemma of assimilation. They made a very minimal attempt to preserve the experiences of history in the form of literature, and hence their experiences are found very rarely, as we do today, on personal intellect blogs or on particular websites like rachabandha.com. A few rare gems are available in Andhra Jyoti, a reputed journal in India. These works were a rare treasure because they give us a direct insight into the lives of diasporic Telugus, which if left unnoticed would have gone unrecorded. Dr. Vanguri Chiten Raj, with the objective of enriching the language and literature of the Telugu people, started the Vanguri Foundation in Houston in 1994. The foundation stands as a pioneering establishment to this day, organizing events and literary symposiums all around the world every consecutive year to promote the Telugu language, literature, and especially to reach the future generations, providing them a link to their identities. In the last 20 years, the foundation has brought out 40 publications that include 11 volumes of America Telugu Kantanika, a collection of Telugu short stories written by various writers living in America and around the globe. Most of the writers in the United States of America are not from just an academic background. They include doctors, engineers and entrepreneurs, and also housewives who are making an attempt to embellish the Telugu language through the literary narrative. Creative writers take up the themes that mostly deal with the conflicts of first and second generation values, dislocation, nostalgia, survival, and the fight for an identity, as in Radhika Nori's Viluvalu or Values. Racial discrimination, New World customs, conflicts of the marriage system, or some of the themes in Radhika Nori's Vidina Nidalu or Vanished Shadows. Chimata Karmala's Namarupalu or Identity delves into the diasporic's long-standing hope to get back to India at any point of their lives. The fear of losing one's language in a foreign land crops up in one way or the other. Some write about the experiences back in India and Indian society. Though most of the works deal with fictional writers, they reflect the reality of the diasporic people in the concerned countries. Nidadavolu Malati is another important writer worth mentioning about at this point of time. She is unique from the others as she makes an attempt to write both in Telugu and in English. She was a writer even before her migration to the United States. In addition, she translates Telugu diasporic works into English with an effort to give them global recognition. Most of the works written by the diasporic writers and their translations are available on her official website www.tulika.net with a hope to reach a wide audience. Our next section is on writing in Gujarati from the diaspora. Settled in more than 44 countries, the Gujarati diaspora community today forms 1/3 of the population of the global Indian diaspora. Although the community has a history of being involved in trade and commerce for more than 2000 years, there are not many early diasporic texts relating the experiences of Gujarati speaking migrants. Gujarati speaking traders played an important role in the promotion of trade in East Africa and interacted closely with the local populace, and one of the interesting rare publications is Swahili Bhashanu Vyakaram, the Swahili grammar, which was written in 1891 by Aladina Samji Lalani, a Koja merchant based at Zanzibar for the benefit of all sorts of Gujaratis, particularly the newcomers in Zanzibar. The early part of the 20th century saw the emergence of Gujarati newspapers in East Africa and South Africa, focusing mainly on nationalistic feelings among the diaspora. Indian Opinion, a newspaper started by Mahatma Gandhi and others in 1903, worked towards bringing various Gujarati as well as Indian communities together. The newspaper provided a platform to the diaspora to voice their feelings against British imperialist rule in India. Many other newspapers such as Tanganyika Opinion, Tanganyika Herald and others were published in 1920s and thereafter. They promoted nationalist sentiments and the concept of a greater India. Thus, one may consider Mahatma Gandhi to be a cultural activist who initiated the Gujarati diaspora writing for an ideological cause. After Mahatma Gandhi returned to India from South Africa, Pranshankar Someshwar Joshi, a school teacher in Johannesburg, contributed extensively to the Indian Opinion. His articles and books voiced the plight of victims of racial discrimination and social justice. Copies of his book were burnt and subsequently banned by the Censor Board of South Africa. By 1950s, large number of Gujarati newspapers and magazines were published in South Africa and countries of East Africa. The writers who contributed to these publications included the African-born second-generation diasporics as well as new migrants from India. Most contributors preferred to write on the theme of Indian rural life and the importance of moral, religious and spiritual values in human life. It is important to note that during the same period, Uma Shankar Jokharkar, a cultural activist from Johannesburg, wrote an interesting piece, The Gujarati Language, Its Usage and Conservation, which argued how English as a colonizer's language had started having its hold on the second and third generation of Gujarati speakers. After the East African countries of Tanzania, Uganda and Kenya attained independence in 1960s, the political instability therein compelled Gujaratis to relocate mainly to the UK as well as to Canada and the United States. The World Directory of Minorities and Indigenous People notes that between 1968 and 1974, over 70,000 Kenyan and Ugandan Asians arrived in Britain, a majority of them were Gujaratis. Bhanushankar Odawach Vyas is considered to be a pioneer among the Gujarati diaspora writers in UK. His novels have been serialized in Asmita, a literary magazine published by Gujarati Literary Academy. It narrates the psychological experiences of an old couple who takes shelter in the house of the protagonist of the novel. Among Gujarati writers in USA, Panna Naik addresses the issues of feminist concerns as well as diasporic themes in her writing. Her collections of lyrical poems, Pravesh, Philadelphia, Videshini, are among many others. Videshini are the reflections of a confessional poet. The poems in Videshini bring out the plight of a woman trying to negotiate between the two worlds, the one she has left and the one she has entered. Pravesh, the title of Naik's maiden collection of poems, means entry. The poem voices our apprehension of entering into two unknown terrains, America and the world of poetry. The verbal images in some of the poems in this collection are suggestive of the sexual longing of a woman alone at home while her husband is away at work, a theme hitherto unexplored by Gujarati women writers in the 1980s. It is a matter of great concern for the diasporic community that increasingly younger members of the diaspora today prefer to speak and write in English rather than communicate in Gujarati. The Gujarati language, like other Indian regional languages, is losing currency among the current generation of diasporics. In order to promote the language, institutions like Gujarati Literary Academy in UK have been actively involved in preparing course material and textbooks. The Academy also has been publishing Asmita, a literary journal for more than 3 decades. Opinion, an online journal by Vipul Kalyani and Bhadra Vadgama from UK, as a special section on the diaspora. The Ratilal Chandera Foundation has created a website named Gujarati Lexicon, which provides an online digital dictionary for the Gujarati community. In the final section in this module, we will examine the importance accorded to Hindi as a language in different locations of the Indian diaspora. As mentioned in the introduction to this module, indentured labourers from Bihar and eastern Uttar Pradesh migrated to Mauritius, Trinidad, Tobago, Fiji, Suriname and Guyana, among other countries. As a large number of the labourers spoke and understood only Bhojpuri, this became an important linked language. However, in due course of time, the dialect became highly localized and different from the dialect of Bhojpuri spoken in India. Jairam describes how in Trinidad the process of koinization or leveling of different dialects took place, such that in due time a new variant of Bhojpuri was evolved as a reasonably homogeneous lingua franca on the sugar plantations. This variant was referred to as plantation Hindustani. A similar process must have no doubt been replicated in other locations such as Mauritius and Fiji. This was mainly a lingua franca used for communicating among members of the community. Hindi, on the other hand, was promoted by missionaries, and the administration encouraged schools to start offering instruction in standard Hindi. Let us look at different locations where Hindi was spoken. First, Mauritius. Indentured labours brought Hindi with its various dialects to Mauritius in the 19th century. On 5th March 1909, Manilal Doctor started publishing a Hindi magazine named Hindustani. The establishment of the Arya Samaj in 1910 boosted instruction in Hindi. Soon more than 150 branches of evening schools, middle schools, a college and an orphanage named Gaya Singh were opened. In 1960, Hindi Pracharani Sabha was established to spread Hindi in Mauritius. In 1949, the government of Mauritius requested the government of India to send qualified Hindi teachers to design a proper syllabus of instruction. One such educator was Professor Ram Prakash, who was deputed to promote the instruction of Indian languages like Hindi, Marathi, Tamil, Telugu and Urdu in teachers training colleges. In 1956, he prepared a new Hindi book series, Naveen Hindi Pustak Mala, for classes 1 to 6 with the help of a few senior Hindi teachers. These books were taught for the next 20 years and laid a solid foundation for learning Hindi language and literature. Then from 1974, Hindi was introduced in secondary schools and colleges also. Hindi was used throughout the diaspora in the form of various dialects like Bhojpuri, Awadhi and Maithili. The large number of these migrants used Bhojpuri and hence Bhojpuri became associated with the identity of these immigrants. In 1982, Sarita Bodu established the Mauritius Bhojpuri Institution with the objective of reviving Bhojpuri language and traditions. However, except for some early writings, all the important writings by Mauritian writers are in Hindi and not in the Bhojpuri language. Major creative writers of Mauritius have opted to write in Hindi and not in Bhojpuri so that they can reach a wider audience worldwide. Poetry, novels, short stories and essays have been given priority over other genres. Abhimanyu Unut is a writer who has achieved accolades for his writing in Hindi. Apart from being a medium of instruction, Hindi is widely used in Mauritius through the BBC Hindi Seva and other such radio services, Doordarshan, CRI, Hindi and Bhojpuri films, Hindi magazines and journals. In terms of creative literature, an important poet is Pandit Lakshmi Narayan Chaturvedi, Rasapunj, whose body of work was critical of social evils of his time. Other remarkable poets of Mauritius are Brajendranath Kumar Bhagat, Somdat Bakori, Dr. Chintamani, Abhimanyu Unat, Poojanand Nema, Suryadev Sivarat, etc. Initially, poetry focused on social evils and the need for social reform, but later themes came to include the struggle for Mauritius independence, promotion of Indian culture, and other such contemporary issues in daily public life. The first Hindi novel published in Mauritius was Paila Kadam by Krishnalal Bihari in 1960. Let us briefly look at three other locations. First, Suriname. Early publications in Hindi can be traced back to around 1918, wherein religious workers used to distribute handwritten pamphlets for religious gatherings. After 1940, workers of Arya Samaj promoted the use of Hindi language and literature. These books and magazines were initially handwritten in Hindi and then cyclo-styled. Important writers from Suriname include Pandit Lakshmi Prasad Baldev, Munshi Rahman Khan, and Babu Chandramohan Ranjit Singh. Two Hindi magazines named Prakash and Vikas have also been published in Hindi from Suriname. Next, Fiji. Fiji is a small country situated in the Pacific Ocean. Around half of the population of Fiji is Indian. These Indians came here on contract from Uttar Pradesh and Bihar in 19th century and spoke Awadhi, Maithili and Bhojpuri dialects. Hindi is taught in Fiji from 1st to 10th standards. Other than this, Hindi is also taught at the University of the South Pacific, teachers training colleges, etc. Important Hindi writers from Fiji include Pandit Kamla Prasad Mishra, Pandit Amichand Vidyalankar, Pandit Ramachandra, Shivdat Sharma, etc. There are also several Hindi magazines that have been published from Fiji. United States. The United States has witnessed a boom in Indian migrants over the last 30 years. Several IT engineers and medical doctors migrated to the United States in large numbers. Understanding the needs of the growing population in the United States, most of the US universities have started Hindi teaching courses in universities and colleges. At present, Hindi is taught in more than 100 universities and colleges. Sudha Om Dhingra also writes in many genres and publishes a Hindi magazine named Hindi Chetna. Anita Kapoor writes poems and is famous for her literary writings and Hindi journalism. Abhinav Shukla is another Hindi poet committed for spreading Hindi in America. Great Britain. Like the United States, Great Britain also has many Hindi writers who contribute in different forms in Hindi literature. Indian Hindi writers living in Britain are Satyendranath Srivastava, Tejindra Sharma, Kavita, Divya Mathur, Kailash Budhwar, Archana Payuli to name a few. Hindi is also used in the Gulf countries. We have writers there such as Krishna Bihari, who lives in Abu Dhabi, who writes poems, stories and novels and publishes a literary Hindi magazine named Nikat. Purnima Verma lives in the UAE and has been hosting 2 Hindi literary portals. Saran Gai runs a Hindi blog from Canada which publishes his poetry and prose along with other writers. You may wish to visit the sites mentioned in the module to find out the range of topics that are discussed and explored creatively through these online forums. I am sure that you agree that this has been a very interesting module from the perspective of the sociology of the Indian diaspora. We tend to mainly regard what is written in English as mainstream writing and tend to look at what is written as English as our source for information. This module has attempted to demonstrate that there is rich vast of information that is available in the regional languages. Regional literatures and languages have had a long history in the Indian diaspora, and what has been presented to you in the module is only the tip of the iceberg. We have touched upon only 4 languages in order to give you an idea of what you can explore further. You may, for example, want to look at Tamil writing from the Indian diaspora. That is another possibility. There are several sites and links given in the module, which I am sure if you follow will throw up a very, very vast treasure of information that will help you to understand the whole gamut of experiences of the diaspora much better. Thank you.